Good morning, class. Today we're working on Unit 1, Lesson 9, Remembering, and we're adding and subtracting fractions with mixed numbers, and we are writing fractions in order from least to greatest, as well as writing equivalent fractions. We are not going to be completing the stretch your thinking today, so you can go ahead and put an X right through the stretch your thinking, and we'll go ahead and get started here. Let's look at numbers 1 through 9. It says add or subtract. Try to do these in your head. You'll notice that the fractions in all of these have a common denominator. So you are going to just add or subtract as is. And if we worked through number 1 and you were to talk it through, and I'm not going to write anything right now, but if I had 3 1/4 plus 2 3/4. If I just took the two fractions, 1/4 plus 3/4, and combined those, I know that that gives me 4/4 or 1 whole. So I'm going to add 1 whole to the whole numbers. And 3 plus 2 are my whole numbers. 3 plus 2 is equal to 5, plus 1 more is equal to 6. So I know that number 1 is 6. I'm going to go ahead and write this just so that you can see it. I do want you to try to work them in your head, but I'm going to write one so you can see it. You have 3 1/4. Plus 2 3/4, and because you have a common denominator, you don't need to find one, and you can just add your two numerators. 1 plus 3 is equal to 4, and our denominator stays the same. So we have 4/4, and 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. And so we have 5 4/4. Well, we know that 4/4 is equal to 1 whole, so it's actually 6, because 5 plus 1 is equal to 6. I'm going to go ahead and just talk through number 2. Number 2 says 2 3/4 minus 1/4. Well, I know that 3/4 minus 1/4 is just 2/4. So I have 2 for the whole number, and there's no other whole number to subtract. So I have 2 2/4, and I also know that 2 2/4 is equal to 2 1/2. And that's how I would talk myself through that. And it's 2. And you could write 2/4 or 2 1/2. I would accept either of those from you. And I'm going to go ahead and do it just so that you can see it, but I want you to keep working it through in your head until you can start to use your mental math skills to work some of these out. Okay, and this is a subtraction problem. Here again we have common denominator of 4, so I'm going to go ahead and complete the task of subtracting the numerators. 3 minus 1 is equal to 2. My denominator stays the same, and 2 minus nothing is 2, so the whole number stays the same. 2 2/4. 2 2/4 is also equal to 2 1/2. I'm going to go ahead and we can start talking through number 3. It says 3 2/5 plus 4 4/5. Well, if I just take my fractions and I add them together, I know that 2/5 plus 4/5 is equal to 6/5. And 6/5 is an improper fraction. And I know that 6/5 is equal to 1 1/5. So then I'm just going to simply combine my two whole numbers. 3 plus 4 is 7. And then I'm going to add my 1 1/5. So it's 8 1/5. And that's how you can complete it in your head. 8 1/5. I will do this last one again with you so that you can see what it looks like. 3 2/5 plus 4 4/5, and I have a common denominator, so I can right away add my numerators. 2 plus 4 is equal to 6. My denominator stays the same, and my whole numbers, 3 plus 4 is equal to 7. And I know that 6/5 is an improper fraction, and 6/5 is really 1 whole 1/5. So it's not 7 6/5, it's now 8 1/5. As you're working through these and you're completing them in your head, if there's one that you're struggling with, just go ahead and get a scratch piece of paper and just check your work if you feel like you're kind of struggling with it. But I want you to really try your best just to talk through it and work it out in your head. You can go ahead and complete 4 through 9 on your own. Numbers 10 through 13, it says write the fractions in order from least to greatest. We can go ahead and look at number 10, and we have 1/9, we have 1/3, we have 1/6, and we have 1/2. Well, in order to write them from least to greatest, I need to get a common denominator. When you're looking at multiple denominators, we have 9, 3, 6, and 2 here. I always say go with the top number and make a list of common factors, and I would do the largest number. So take your largest number. 9 times 1 is equal to 9. 9 times 2 is equal to 18. Well, when I get to 18, I have 9 times 2 is 18. Well, I know that 3 can go into 18. I know that 6 can go into 18, and I know that 2 can go into 18. So my common denominator is going to be 18. 9 times 2 is equal to 18. Anything I do to the top, I also do to the bottom. So 1 times 2 is 2. I know that 6 times 3 is equal to 18. So this is going to equal 6/18. I know that 6 times 3 is equal to 18, and so I'm going to have 3/18. And I know that 2 times 9 is equal to 18, and I'm going to have 9/18. Now that you have a common denominator, it makes it easy for you to go ahead and write them in order from least to greatest, so smallest to largest. So we have 2/18, and we want to revert back to the original. So we have 1/9 is our smallest. Then we have 3/18, which is 1/6. Then we have 6/18, which is 1/3. And then our last one, we have 9/18, which is the largest, and that's 1/2. And that's how you would write them in order from least to greatest by finding a common denominator. And again, if you choose the largest denominator, oftentimes it's easy to find a factor from that one. We can look now at number 12, which I want to do with you, because finding a common denominator between 3, 5, 2, and 4 is not easy, but if you use your handy-dandy little fraction bar chart that I gave you, you can make comparisons a little easier here. So we have 2/3, so you're going to go to the third and you're going to circle or your shade in your 2/3. Then we have 3/5, so you're going to go down to the fifths. Oh, and you can see that 3/5 is smaller than 2/3. Okay, and next we're going to go to the 1/2. Okay, and that's right here, and you can see that 1/2 is smaller than 1/3, and it's also smaller than 3/5, or than 2/3, and it's also smaller than 3/5. And then we have our last one, and it's 3/4. You can go ahead and shade that, and you can see that that one is the largest. And this is a great way, it's a good tool that you all have to go ahead and compare fractions. So now you can look back at the problem and you can order them from least to greatest. Okay, your least or your smallest, okay, is your 1/2. The next smallest is going to be your 3/5. The next smallest is going to be 2/3. And then your largest is going to be your 3/4. And that's how you order them from least to greatest. Numbers 14 through 17, you're just writing equivalent fractions, and we've had a lot of practice with equivalent fractions. Our first one is 1/5. Remember, you can multiply top and bottom by any number to get an equivalent fraction, or you can also divide them both by the same number. But if I just multiplied 1/5 top and bottom by 2, I would get 2/10, which is an equivalent fraction. Then I can do it again, and I could multiply it this time by 3. And I would get 3/15. Okay, and I could continue on and on that way. But here, it just says list 3 fractions equivalent to the given fraction. So we need one more. And I could then, again, just multiply this fraction here by 2. And that would give me 6/30. And those are all equivalent fractions. 1/5, 2/10, 3/15, and 6/30. You're going to be able to have quite a few different answers for 14 through 17, but you're just looking for equivalent fractions. I'm going to go ahead and just read the word problem to you. Number 18, it's a two-part problem. It says, Ted is making a bread recipe that uses 3 1/4 cups of flour, and a muffin recipe that uses 2 3/4 cups of flour. A reads, how much more flour is in the bread than in the muffin. And your key word there is how much more. So you're going to have to figure out the difference between 3 1/4 and 2 3/4, and that's going to set you up a subtraction problem. And then B, how much flour does Ted need for both recipes? And then both is going to be your key word there, and that's going to be combining them. So that's going to be an addition problem. So make sure you take your time, complete all of the problems, and when you've finished, please take a picture, attach it to your assignment, and turn it in on Teams. Thank you.